Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever felt it? That subtle tension, that look she gives you when no one's watching, that energy that says something is happening, even though she's still with another man. Here's the truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. Women rarely leave emotionally after they leave physically. They leave months earlier, quietly, psychologically, and strategically. And today, I'm going to reveal 10 hidden signals she's falling for you, while still technically belonging to someone else. Watch till the end, because the final signal is the one men usually ignore, and it's the most dangerous one. But before we dive in, understand this. These patterns aren't random. They're rooted in evolutionary psychology, attachment theory, and the way female desire actually works in the real world, not the fantasy version we're sold in movies. The uncomfortable reality is that attraction doesn't respect relationship boundaries. It doesn't wait for permission, and it certainly doesn't announce itself with clarity and honesty. It creeps in, quietly, gradually, until one day, everything has shifted beneath the surface, while nothing has changed on the outside. Stay with me, because once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. Before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. 1. She starts confiding in you about him. This is always the first crack. She doesn't complain about him to everyone. She complains to you. At first, it sounds harmless. He doesn't listen. He doesn't get me. He's changed. But psychologically, this is huge. She's subconsciously repositioning you as the emotional safe zone, while he becomes the emotional threat. In female psychology, whoever holds emotional safety eventually holds attraction. Think about what's actually happening here. She's creating an intimate space between you two, one built on vulnerability and understanding. She's allowing you to see behind the curtain of her relationship, exposing its flaws, its weaknesses, its failures. And every time she does this, she's subconsciously building a case, a narrative, one where he's inadequate and you're different, better, more attuned to her needs. This is how emotional affairs begin, not with grand declarations or physical touch, but with confessions whispered in moments of frustration. She's testing whether you'll validate her feelings, whether you'll take her side, whether you'll become her emotional ally against him. And here's the kicker. The more she confides in you, the more disloyal she feels toward him. But instead of pulling back, she often doubles down, because once that emotional door opens, it's incredibly difficult to close. And here's where it gets interesting, because once emotional safety shifts, loyalty weakens. 2. She seeks your validation more than his. Watch her reactions carefully. When you compliment her, she lights up. When he compliments her, she shrugs it off. That's not accidental. It means your opinion has started to outweigh his. In psychology, validation equals value, and value equals attachment. She's not just listening to you, she's measuring herself through your eyes now. This signal reveals something profound about human nature. We become attached to those who make us feel good about ourselves. And when a woman starts seeking validation from you instead of her partner, the psychological shift is already underway. Notice the subtle changes. She asks your opinion on things that matter to her. Her appearance, her decisions, her ideas. She remembers what you said weeks ago and brings it up later. She modifies her behavior based on your reactions. This is called external locus of validation in psychology. Her sense of self-worth is beginning to depend on your approval rather than his. And once this happens, the emotional center of gravity in her life has shifted. You've become the mirror she looks into to see herself. And that's a position of enormous psychological power. But here's what most men miss. She might not even realize this is happening. These shifts often occur beneath conscious awareness. She just knows that talking to you makes her feel alive in ways her relationship no longer does. But the next sign is where emotional cheating officially begins. 3. She mentions him, but always defensively. Notice how she talks about him. I mean, he's not that bad. He tries, you know? It's complicated. Defensive language means internal conflict. She's trying to convince herself, not you. When a woman is truly happy, she doesn't need to explain it. Explanation is justification. Justification means doubt. This defensive posture reveals cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs simultaneously. Part of her knows she's emotionally checking out. Another part of her wants to believe she's still committed, still loyal, still in love. So she builds verbal shields. She explains. She rationalizes. She diminishes the problems while simultaneously bringing them up. It's a contradiction that exposes her internal struggle. Pay attention to the pattern. If she constantly needs to defend him or her relationship when talking to you, it means she's arguing with herself. You're just the audience for an internal debate she's already losing. And here's the dark truth. The more she defends him to you, the more she's actually convincing herself that the relationship isn't working. Because defensive language requires her to consciously acknowledge the flaws she's defending against. Each explanation is another brick removed from the foundation of her commitment. And now, we enter the subconscious stage. 4. She mirrors your behavior and language. She starts using your phrases, your humor, your tone. This isn't coincidence. Mirroring is a deep attraction signal. It's how humans unconsciously bond. Her mind is syncing with yours, even if her relationship status says otherwise. Psychologically, she's already rehearsing emotional closeness with you. Mirroring is one of the most powerful nonverbal indicators of connection. It happens automatically when we're drawn to someone. Our brains literally begin to synchronize, matching speech patterns, adopting similar body language, even breathing in rhythm. Watch for these specific signs. She picks up your vocabulary, especially unique words or phrases you use. She laughs at your jokes in the same way you deliver them. She adopts your perspectives on things she previously disagreed with. This is called behavioral synchrony in psychology, and it's a strong predictor of emotional bonding. Her subconscious is essentially saying, I want to be like you. I want to be close to you. I want to be part of your world. The dangerous part? This creates a feedback loop. The more she mirrors you, the more natural and comfortable she feels around you. The more comfortable she feels, the more she mirrors you. And before long, being with you feels like home in a way her actual relationship doesn't. She's not just copying you, she's unconsciously merging her identity with yours. But wait, because the next signal exposes her inner comparison. 5. She subtly compares you to him. This one is dangerous. She'll say things like, you're different from him. You actually listen. He never thinks like that. She may not say your name, but your shadow is already standing next to his. Comparison means evaluation. Evaluation means replacement thinking has begun. Every time she compares you favorably to him, she's mentally running a cost-benefit analysis. This is hypergamy in action, the psychological tendency to evaluate potential partners against current ones. But here's what makes this so insidious. She's not comparing you to an idealized fantasy. She's comparing you to a real person she knows intimately, flaws and all. And in that comparison, you're winning. You're fresher, more attentive, more exciting. You represent possibility while he represents routine. You're the mystery while he's the known quantity. And psychologically, mystery and novelty trigger dopamine, the same neurochemical associated with falling in love. Every interaction with you gives her a hit of something her relationship no longer provides. These comparisons also serve another function. They justify her growing feelings for you. She's building a narrative where her attraction isn't a betrayal. It's a natural response to his failures and your superiority. This is how people rewrite their stories to make themselves the protagonist rather than the villain. And now, things start getting risky. 6. She creates opportunities to be alone with you. Not obvious dates, not outright flirting, just situations. Everyone else canceled. We should talk privately. Can you walk me out? These moments aren't accidents. They're tests. She's exploring emotional intimacy without crossing physical lines. Yet, this is where plausible deniability becomes her strategy. She needs to explore what's happening between you two, but she also needs to protect her self-image and her relationship, at least publicly. So she manufactures situations that give her access to you without the appearance of impropriety. Coffee to discuss something work-related. A conversation that happens to run long after everyone else leaves. Asking for help with something she could easily handle alone. These are proximity tests. She's measuring how it feels to be alone with you. She's gauging whether the tension she feels in groups intensifies or dissipates in private. And here's the critical part. Each successful private interaction normalizes the next one. The first time feels risky and charged with meaning. By the fifth time, it feels natural, expected, like something she has a right to. This is how boundaries erode, not through one catastrophic breach, but through 1,000 small compromises that gradually redefine what's acceptable. Because here's where guilt and desire collide. 7. She pulls back, then comes back stronger. Suddenly, she distances herself, cold replies, less contact, then, boom, late-night messages, long conversations, deep emotional talks. This push-pull behavior means internal conflict. Her desire for you is fighting her self-image, and desire usually wins. This pattern reveals an internal war. Part of her recognizes that what's happening is wrong, or at least risky, so she creates distance, hoping the feelings will fade. But they don't. Instead, the distance creates longing. The absence makes her miss you more, and eventually, the desire overwhelms the guilt and she comes back, often with more intensity than before. This cycle is psychologically significant because each time she returns, she's lowering her resistance. She's proving to herself that she can't stay away, and that realization shifts her self-perception. She goes from, "I'm someone who would never do this," to, "I'm someone who can't help doing this." And that's a dangerous transformation. Because once she accepts that she can't control her feelings for you, she stops trying to. The guilt becomes something she learns to live with, rather than something that stops her behavior. Watch for the intensity after each pullback. If it increases rather than decreases, you're witnessing desire winning the internal battle. But the next signal reveals something even deeper. 8. She protects your connection from others. She doesn't talk about you openly. She avoids mentioning you around him or around mutual friends. Why? Because the connection feels personal, private, almost sacred. People protect what they're emotionally invested in. This secrecy is a massive red flag, but not for the reasons you might think. She's not hiding you because she's ashamed. She's hiding you because the connection feels too important to expose to scrutiny or judgment. In her mind, what's happening between you exists in a special category. It's separate from her normal life, protected, precious. This compartmentalization serves a psychological function. It allows her to maintain her relationship while nurturing her connection with you. As long as these worlds don't collide, she doesn't have to make a choice. But here's what this really means. You've become her secret. And secrets have power. They create intimacy through exclusivity. They bond people through shared concealment. Every time she chooses not to mention you, she's choosing you over transparency. She's choosing the feeling you give her over honesty with her partner. And each choice reinforces the next. This is how emotional affairs become deep and entrenched. Not through dramatic declarations, but through 1,000 small acts of selective disclosure that gradually build a hidden world. And now, the sign men usually misinterpret. 9. She talks about the future, without him. Listen carefully. She'll talk about dreams, plans, what she wants someday. But notice who's missing. No we, no shared future, just her. This means, emotionally, she's already alone. This is perhaps the most telling signal of all. When someone is committed to a relationship, their future is inherently plural. Their dreams include their partner. Their plans are built around shared life. But when she talks to you about the future and it's all singular, her goals, her aspirations, her vision, it means she's mentally separated from him already. Even more revealing, notice if she includes you in these future projections. Not explicitly, but implicitly. I want to live somewhere more exciting. I need people who understand me. I'm looking for something more meaningful. These statements aren't just about her. They're invitations. She's painting a picture of a life she wants and subtly asking if you see yourself in it. This is future projection, a psychological process where we rehearse potential realities before committing to them. She's testing what it would feel like to build a life without him. And the fact that she's doing this with you as her audience is significant. You're not just witnessing her dreams. You're becoming part of them. And now, the most dangerous signal of all. 10. She makes you the emotional priority. This is the final shift. She texts you first, checks your reactions, cares about your mood. Emotionally, you're no longer the outsider. You're the center. And once a woman emotionally prioritizes another man, the relationship she's in is already on borrowed time. This is the point of no return. When you become her emotional priority, everything else is just logistics and timing. She thinks about you first when something happens, good or bad. She wants your take on her day. She measures her experiences partly by how she'll describe them to you later. This is called primary emotional attachment in psychology. You've become her person, the one she turns to, relies on, shares with, and prioritizes. And here's the brutal truth. Once this shift happens, the physical relationship is just a matter of time, because humans can't maintain emotional intimacy with one person while being physically committed to another. The dissonance becomes unbearable. Watch for these specific behaviors. She responds to you immediately but makes him wait. She shares news with you before telling him. She asks for your advice on decisions that affect their relationship. She prioritizes time with you over commitments to him. These aren't small things. They're fundamental reorganizations of her emotional life. You're not the affair. You're becoming the relationship, and he's becoming the obligation she's preparing to leave. Final warning, very important. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Just because she's falling for you doesn't mean she'll handle it cleanly. Emotional transitions are messy, and attraction without clarity creates chaos. Some women will leave their relationship before pursuing you. Others will try to have both. Some will pull you into drama you never asked for, and some will ultimately choose the security of what they know over the excitement of what they want. The signals I've shown you today reveal her internal process, but they don't predict her choices. Human beings are capable of feeling intensely and still acting against those feelings, capable of wanting something desperately and still choosing something else. So here's my advice. Awareness gives power, but character decides outcome. If you recognize these signs, you have information. What you do with that information reveals who you are. You can pursue it, knowing the complications involved. You can step back and protect yourself from the inevitable drama, or you can be honest with her about what you're observing and let her make a conscious choice instead of a reactive one. But whatever you choose, understand this. Relationships built on betrayal often end in betrayal. The way something begins matters. The patterns established at the start tend to repeat, and if she'll emotionally cheat with you, she'll eventually emotionally cheat on you. That's not cynicism. That's pattern recognition. If this video opened your eyes, make sure you like it. It helps this channel reach men who need truth, not fairy tales. Subscribe if you want more female psychology, dark psychology, and attraction dynamics explained honestly. And don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel. There's a lot more wisdom waiting for you there. Because understanding these patterns isn't about manipulation, it's about clarity. And clarity in relationships and life is power. I'll see you in the next one.